Hello, amazing entrepreneur. It's Tash Corbin here, and welcome to day 8 of Tashmas. This is episode number 140 of the Heart Centered Business Podcast. So, all of the show notes and links to everything that I'm talking about today, you'll find at the show notes at tashcorbin.com/140, episode 140. Today, as part of the Tashmas awesomeness, I'm going to be sharing a business strategy with you as well as an awesome new, never before offered freebie that I know lots of you are going to be interested in. So what are we talking about today? Well, I'm going to talk to you about the one thing that you are not giving your launches that if you actually gave it to your launches would increase their results exponentially. That's pretty sexy, right? And I have seen this for 99.9% of the lady posse. So if you are the kind of person who has lots of things that you're launching and you think, maybe my launch does need this thing, then please do listen on because this is going to be hyper juicy. Let's get into it. Now, you might actually get a little frustrated with me when I tell you what this thing is, but I 100% believe that now that I am giving this to my own launches, it is actually increasing my results exponentially without me changing much else in terms of my strategy. And it has created so much more opportunity. Can you think what this might be? What do you need to give your launches? Well, I don't know if you're going to guess this one. It's breathing space. And it's something that frustrates a lot of our type A personality lady posse. It is very frustrating for people who are in that hustle mode. But honestly, the more breathing space I give to my launches, the better they do. The more breathing space I give to my launches, the more leisurely they are. Hashtag leisurely launch. Look it up. The more breathing space I give to my launches, the better I do in my launches, the better I am at showing up for my launches, the healthier I am, the better I'm able to serve my clients, and the more money I make. Now, this is really counterintuitive, I know, and I have definitely modeled the wrong behaviors for you guys in the past. So those of you who've been following me for a few years, I want to say first and foremost, I'm really sorry for modeling the wrong behaviors. I'm really sorry that you saw the way that I did things as the way you need to do things in order to be successful, because it's just not true. And the people that I'm working with now who are launching for the first time ever, or who are launching maybe for the second or third time, and we're doing it with breathing space and we're doing it the leisurely launch way, they're having much, much better results. They're doing amazingly. So it's not just a case of, well, Tash, you had 3 launches running concurrently at any one time for the last 2 years. And so therefore you've created the momentum. So therefore now you can do this thing with breathing space. That is not the thing. Because I can look back and wholeheartedly, hand on heart, say, if I had followed my own advice back then, I would have done so much better. And I would have created success so much faster. And my business momentum would have been completely different. And it works whether it's your first launch or whether it's your 50th. So I want to ask you the question, are you giving your launches enough breathing room? And if you're not giving your launches enough breathing room, how can we start to expand the breathing room that we give to them? So what does breathing room look like for a launch? Well, number one, it means launching one thing at a time. Now, as I say, I have done multiple launches at once, concurrent launches, quite a lot in my time. Last year, I was very proud of myself. I launched one thing at a time. The year before, it was 2 things at a time. The year before, it was 3 things at a time. So I'm slowly starting to pare back the number of things I'm launching at once. And I'm also starting to create more space between those launches. So when one launch finishes, another launch does not immediately begin. I give myself time and space to prepare for the next launch, to give my business breathing room, and a lot of magical things happen in that space. So one of the things that I love about Breathing Room, just in terms of only launching one thing at a time, is that you create so much more momentum with the right people and you become so well known in that one space. Now, even if you are like me, maybe you're in business strategy or you're in a topic area where, well, I'm known for startup and launching, but they're both business strategy. So it's totally fine and not at all confusing. Even if you can convince yourself that 2 launches at once isn't that confusing because XYZ, I just want you to try it just once. Just try launching just one thing. I've had some amazing conversations with women over the last few months about this, and there's some really gorgeous recent examples. So I had one client in the academy who had been trying to sell spaces on her retreat, but she was always promoting her retreat at the same time as promoting a course or something else. And so I said to her, can you give this retreat launch 10 days where you talk about nothing else but your retreat? And she went from having sold 1 place and needing to cancel to having sold 4 spaces with only 1 left in that 10-day period. I think she actually sold 4 spaces in the first 7 days of just talking about that one thing at once. And it can be as simple as that, just making a decision to just talk about one thing at once. Another great example is a client of mine had ideas for 3 amazing courses and she wanted to launch them one after the other. And I said to her, what if we just picked one of those courses and launched it 3 times with a couple of weeks in between each launch, and let's just see what happens there. And we will park the other 2 things and we will launch them later once one of these things has created amazing momentum. Guess what? She's never looked at those other 2 things again. That was 9 months ago. She's now done 4 launches and the most recent one had 90 people sign up. 90 people signed up for her program in her last launch. Now, when we were talking 9-10 months ago, she had 4 people join that course. And the previous time she'd launched something else, she had 6 people join that. Now, the first time she launched this thing, we got 9 people in. The second time, 21. The third time, we went into Facebook advertising and got 64. And this time, 90. So can you see how this one thing that she is now really beautifully known for has created such momentum and such a spiral? Now, when I say to her, hey, remember you had those 3 things that you wanted to launch? Are you still interested in launching the second and third thing? Why would you go and launch those other things when you know you have a repeatable, scalable launch? She's like, no, I'm going to launch this thing again and I'm going to get 150 to 200 people signed up next time. And then I'm going to launch again. I'm going to get 250 people signed up in one go. And then I will see where I go from there. So it's almost addictive, this whole like one thing focus. When you see the momentum and the results that it creates, it really does get a little bit addictive and you just want to stay focused on that one thing. So that's one thing at a time. But there's another part of breathing space that I want to talk about, and that is the gap between launches. So I know for a lot of women, particularly where you've had a really successful launch, you're really excited, maybe you're into the first few weeks of delivery of your program, your entrepreneurial brain starts going, okay, I need to launch again. Okay, it's time to launch again. I need to launch again as soon as possible. The sooner I launch, the more money I'm going to make, the more momentum I make, the more I'm going to create this kind of snowball effect for my business. But what would it feel like for you to just stop for a few weeks and actually prepare properly for the next launch, review the last launch really effectively, and grow your list in between launches? Because we know that leads that come in during a launch are a lot less likely to buy in that launch because they don't develop that know, like, and trust factor, and particularly that connect factor with you very fast during a launch. There are things that we can do to increase that and improve that, but the best way to ensure that your list and your launch go really effectively and you've got the maximum number of people participating in your launch is actually mid-launch list building. So between the launches, doing some things to bring people onto your list, not during launch time. And bear with me, I've got a couple of reasons why I think this works. And this is all still theory for me. I'm still exploring what's going on and what I'm seeing out there. But for most of us, we've now been conditioned so much that when we jump onto someone's lead magnet or we jump into someone's opt-in, that we're immediately going to be sold to. It's going to be during an urgent launch. There's going to be deadlines. There's going to be something that comes as a result of this. We're going to be inundated with emails. That when someone joins your list on an opt-in or with a freebie and they don't get the sequence of 15 emails afterwards, or they don't have a deadline that's immediately presented to them, or they don't have this big thing that kind of just takes this big momentum and it's like pressure space kind of starts to build, then that know, like, trust factor, and particularly that trust factor, builds exponentially. And so I've been finding this for myself. The more I build my list between launches, and we talk about fishing your pond and overfishing from the same pond, the more I grow that pond, not during the launch, but between the launches, as well as during the launch, the better my launch results. So what would it be like if you took 4 weeks off from launching your course or program, just focused on selling your VIP offer, or something that didn't require this pressured launch or time specific launch, and you just built your list and you focused on calling in those VIPs that might be sitting out there who are really excited to work with you. You focus on just, doing your offers into Facebook communities. You focus on getting amazing freebies and opt-ins out there into the world, building up that know, like, trust, and connect factor with people. KLTC, it's my fave. What would that feel like? And what might be possible then for your next launch? Because I guarantee you, if someone is on your list already, when you then go into launch and have a lead magnet that's specific to the course or program that you're going to be promoting, that if that person has already got value from you, they're more likely to opt in, and they're more likely to show up to the webinar live, or they're more likely to actively participate in your challenge, and therefore they are more likely to buy. So I've got a gorgeous freebie. Now this topic and this freebie might not be relevant to all of you right now. This really is for those people who are finding themselves getting caught in a cycle of back-to-back launches or trying to launch a lot of things at once. So if that is you and that is something that you've been facing, and if in particular you've done a launch recently and you've had this inkling, I need to grow my pond, I'm actually refishing the same pond over and over again, I need to actually expand this pond, and I'm willing to take a couple of weeks to maybe 4 weeks to do so between launches, then I have a gorgeous ebook for you. It's an ebook with some worksheets. It's got some fillable sections in for you. It's got some very practical activities, and it's called Between the Launches. And you can find the link to that over with the show notes for today's episode of the Heart Centered Business Podcast. So if you go to tashcorbin.com/140, click on the button and grab the Between the Launches ebook. It's very practical. It's very much me saying, okay, now it's time for you to do this. And it will help you to grow your list, expand your reach, and create breathing space between your launches. I'm really excited about this one because it's something very different to anything I've really offered before. And it's a brand new fresh freebie. So I'd love to get your feedback as well. Do look out for the Tashmas Day 8 post over on my Facebook page and let me know what you think of this new ebook and whether it's something you're willing to give a go. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Heart Centered Business Podcast. Until next time, I've been Tash Corbin. You've been a fabulous listener, and I cannot wait to see you shine. Happy Tashmas and bye for now.